When a man is truly in love with an older woman, his words carry hidden meanings, meanings that go beyond surface-level attraction. According to Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, certain phrases reveal a deep, unconscious bond, one that speaks to the soul, not just the heart. So, what are these powerful words? And why do they matter? Carl Jung believed that love is more than just emotion. It's a meeting of the unconscious mind. His concept of the anima, the feminine energy within men, explains why some men are irresistibly drawn to older women. It's not just about beauty or experience, it's about something far deeper, a longing for wisdom, emotional depth, and a love that transforms them. In this video, we'll uncover 15 specific words and phrases that men only say when they're truly in love with an older woman, words that, according to Jungian psychology, reveal an unshakable, soul-level connection. If you've ever heard any of these, you'll know exactly what they really mean. Let's begin. When a man looks into the eyes of an older woman and says, "You understand me," he's expressing something far more profound than simple companionship. From a Jungian perspective, this phrase signals anima projection, the unconscious transfer of his inner feminine ideal onto her. It's not just that she listens, it's that she reflects back to him parts of himself he hasn't fully recognized. In her presence, he feels seen in a way that transcends words, as if she intuitively grasps the hidden contours of his soul. This isn't about shared interests or surface-level connection. It's about the eerie, almost mystical sense that she knows him in ways even he doesn't yet understand himself. Then there's the confession, "I've never felt this way before." This isn't just romantic hyperbole. It's the voice of a man encountering emotional depth for the first time. Jung would argue that younger relationships often operate on instinctual attraction, but with an older woman, the connection bypasses the superficial and taps into something archetypal. She awakens feelings in him that he didn't know existed, not because she's manipulating his emotions, but because her maturity resonates with the dormant layers of his own psyche. It's less about her age and more about the way her presence unlocks a new dimension of emotional experience within him. When he insists, age doesn't matter, he's not just dismissing a number, he's rejecting societal conditioning in favor of a deeper truth. Culturally, age gaps are often framed as problematic, but Jungian psychology suggests that soul connections don't adhere to calendars. His defiance of norms isn't rebellion. It's the recognition that what they share transcends physical time. This is the language of a man who has touched something eternal in their bond, something that makes the passage of years irrelevant. "You're so wise" carries the weight of the wise mother archetype, a figure who embodies guidance, insight, and unconditional acceptance. This isn't about infantilizing him or placing her on a pedestal. It's about the awe he feels in the presence of someone whose life experience has honed her intuition and judgment. Where others might offer shallow reassurance, she provides clarity, and that depth of understanding is intoxicating to a man whose anima longs for nourishment. Safety is something many men don't realize they crave until they find it. "I feel safe with you" is the admission of a man who has spent his life armored against vulnerability, only to discover that her presence disarms him completely. The anima, in its most nurturing form, offers a sanctuary where he can finally lower his guard. This isn't about dependency, it's about the rare and precious gift of being able to exhale in a world that constantly demands performance. Inspiration is another hallmark of this dynamic. "You inspire me" isn't just flattery, it's the acknowledgement of the older woman as muse. Jung saw the anima as a creative force, and when a man speaks these words, he's confessing that she activates parts of him that were previously dormant. Whether it's his ambition, his artistry, or his emotional courage, her influence pushes him toward growth in ways he can't achieve alone. Admiration is the bedrock of lasting love, and when he says, "I admire you," he's expressing reverence for her as a whole person, not just a romantic partner. Jung emphasized that real love requires seeing the other as an individual beyond projections, and this phrase suggests he's beginning to do that. It's the difference between being infatuated with an idea and truly valuing who she is. The exclamation, "you're different," might sound vague, but in Jungian terms, it's a seismic shift. It means she stands apart from past relationships, which may have been marked by immaturity or unresolved anima projections. With her, the connection feels distinct, not because she's perfect, but because she challenges him to evolve in ways others couldn't. When he admits, "I learn from you," he's surrendering to the role of student, a vulnerable but transformative position. Jung believed that love should facilitate growth, and this phrase reveals his willingness to be shaped by her perspective. It's not about her lecturing him. It's about his openness to the lessons her life has taught her. "You're timeless" is perhaps one of the highest compliments a man can give an older woman. In a culture obsessed with youth, this phrase defies the fear of aging by elevating her essence above physicality. Jung might say this reflects the anima's eternal quality, the recognition that her spirit exists outside the constraints of time. "I need your advice" is a testament to trust. It's not just about her wisdom, it's about his willingness to rely on her judgment, something men often struggle to do. In Jung's framework, this signals a healthy integration of the anima, allowing the feminine to guide him rather than suppress it. "You make me better" is the hallmark of individuation, Jung's concept of becoming one's true self through relationships. This isn't about her fixing him, it's about how her presence catalyzes his own growth. Love, in its highest form, should elevate both partners, and this phrase captures that alchemy. "I cherish you" goes beyond love or passion. It's the language of sacred regard. Cherishing implies a depth of emotional value that transcends fleeting desire. Jung might link this to the anima's role as a bridge to the soul, where love becomes a spiritual practice rather than just an emotion. "You're my peace" speaks to the anima's role as a calming force. In a chaotic world, her presence becomes his sanctuary. This isn't about her carrying his emotional burdens. It's about the way her energy harmonizes with his, creating a rare and precious equilibrium. Finally, "I love your mind" is the ultimate testament to a soul connection. In a society that often prioritizes youth and beauty, this phrase elevates intellect and spirit. Jung would argue that this is the anima's highest expression, when a man loves a woman not for what she represents, but for who she truly is. Each of these phrases is a breadcrumb leading to the same truth. When a man loves an older woman in the Jungian sense, it's not a fluke or a phase. It's the unconscious reaching for wholeness. These words aren't chosen by accident. They're the vocabulary of a love that defies convention because it's written in the language of the soul. These carefully chosen words and phrases matter because they represent far more than casual expressions of affection. They are linguistic windows into a man's unconscious journey towards psychological wholeness. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, the process of integrating all aspects of one's psyche to become a complete and authentic self, helps explain why these particular declarations carry such weight. When a man uses this specific vocabulary with an older woman, he's not just complimenting her, he's revealing his soul's longing to reconcile his conscious identity with the undeveloped feminine aspects of his anima. Each phrase serves as a milestone on his path to self-realization, marking moments where her presence helps bridge the gap between who he is and who he might become. The very fact that these expressions emerge naturally in such relationships suggests they spring from a place beyond conscious thought, bubbling up from the depths where true transformation begins. What makes older women particularly powerful catalysts in this process is their embodiment of emotional maturity, a quality that speaks directly to a man's unconscious need for growth. Where younger relationships might focus on passion or novelty, The connection with an older woman often centers around depth, stability, and wisdom, qualities that resonate with a man's yearning for psychological grounding. She becomes more than a partner. She personifies the integrating force his psyche requires to move beyond superficial attachments towards something more substantial. This explains why men in these relationships frequently describe feeling seen or understood in ways they haven't experienced before. Her emotional maturity provides the container in which his own emotional development can safely unfold, allowing him to explore vulnerabilities and dimensions of himself that might remain dormant in less nurturing relationships. The contrast with more superficial attractions couldn't be more striking. Relationships based primarily on physical appeal or social convenience often follow predictable scripts. Compliments about appearance, expressions of infatuation, or shared excitement about surface-level commonalities. While these connections certainly have their place, they rarely provoke the kind of soul-stirring language we've examined. The difference lies in the level of psychological engagement. Where superficial attraction schemes the surface of personality, the bond with an older woman frequently plunges into deeper waters, stirring up the sediment of a man's unconscious and bringing long-buried needs to light. This explains why the language of such relationships often carries an almost mythic quality. Phrases like, "You're timeless," or "You're my peace," aren't just romantic flourishes, but genuine expressions of encountering something archetypal. This distinction becomes even more meaningful when we consider how modern relationships often unfold. In a dating landscape increasingly dominated by swipes and instant gratification, connections that foster genuine psychological growth stand out as rare exceptions. The words men use with older women gain their significance precisely because they represent a departure from transactional romance. They're the vocabulary of transformation rather than consumption. When a man tells an older woman, "You make me better," he's acknowledging that their connection serves a higher purpose than mutual entertainment or companionship. He's recognizing, perhaps without fully realizing it, that she represents what Jung called the mediating function of the anima, the bridge between his conscious ego and the vast, unexplored territories of his psyche. Ultimately, these phrases matter because they signal a relationship that transcends conventional categories. They're not about age difference as a novelty or rebellion, but about two souls meeting at a crossroads of psychological need and spiritual provision. The older woman in these scenarios becomes what Jung might describe as a living symbol of integration. Her very presence calls forth language that reveals the depth of the connection. When a man uses these specific words, he's not just describing his feelings for her, he's unconsciously mapping his own journey toward wholeness. In a world that often reduces love to chemistry or compatibility, these expressions remind us that the most profound relationships are those that speak the language of the soul, words that don't just describe emotion, but enact transformation. What we've uncovered today is more than just a list of sweet nothings. It's a psychological roadmap to a man's deepest feelings. If the man in your life has ever spoken these 15 phrases, chances are his connection to you runs far deeper than surface-level attraction. These aren't just words, they're unconscious admissions of a bond that Carl Jung himself would recognize as transformative. From "you understand me" to "I love your mind," each expression reveals layers of psychological significance, pointing toward a love that doesn't just satisfy the heart, but nourishes the soul. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you experienced this kind of connection? Have you heard any of these powerful phrases whispered in your own relationship? Drop your stories in the comments below. We're fascinated by how these psychological patterns play out in real life. Your experience might just help someone else recognize the depth of their own relationship. If this exploration of love through Jung's eyes resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us create more content that dives beneath the surface of human connection. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into psychology, relationships, and the hidden forces that shape our lives. Want more Jungian insights? Let us know what psychology topics you'd like us to explore next, whether it's the shadow self, synchronicity, or the psychology of lasting love. We're here to unravel the mysteries of the mind together. Thanks for watching, and remember, the most powerful love stories are often the ones written in the language of the unconscious.